The Proton X70 isn't really an unfamiliar sight in Bangladesh. It showed up 5 years ago with PHP Bangladesh, or whatever it's called back then, and this was their flagship. This was an affordable 5-seat crossover with all the tech you want. Well, it's back under Rancon with a bit of an asterisk. Now, this car is made in Bangladesh. So what do I mean by that? Well, most of the car is still built abroad, but enough of it is put together here and enough parts are made locally for it to legally earn the title. Now, with that title comes a massive slash in price. We'll get on that later, but first, let us take a look at the car. This, under the Proton badge, is a Geely. Geely bought Proton almost a decade back, and nowadays most of their cars are rebadged Geelys. This started life as a Geely Boyu, which is a compact 5-seat crossover, which was given a Proton face. The problem with that is this design debuted almost a decade ago, if not a bit more. Proton already updated this car in Malaysia, but we got the old one. But with that said, with that old one comes certain charm that is completely lost on modern vehicles. For example, you don't have a humongous grille at the front. You got a nice one. At the middle of it, you got the minimalist Proton badge surrounded by what Proton calls the infinite wave grille, which is apparently inspired by basket weaves. Flanking those are LED DRLs with LED headlamp with Proton inscription on them. And just to add to the cherry on the top, you got LED fog lamps as well. Now, Geely is a multinational company, as evident by this engine. This is a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged motor making around 170 horsepower and 255 Nm of torque. But it's not a Geely product, it's not a Proton product either, it's made by Volvo. The power is sent to the front wheels through a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, and the overall response is surprising. You wouldn't expect this level of driving from a 5-seat crossover. That said, we'll talk about that more when we drive it. Moving to the side, you got a sensor over here. This car is full of this, and a functional air vent, which actually caught me by surprise. 19-inch alloy wheels that lifts up the car 200mm off the ground. Blind spot monitors, floating C-pillar, and on the other side there is a 6-liter fuel tank. Now, the back end of the Proton X70 looks quite like a first-gen Land Rover Discovery, which is something I quite like. Besides that, you got a spoiler with a built-in brake light, rear wiper, and surprisingly for me, 2 functional exhausts. Opening the power tailgate, you are greeted with a rather spacious cargo floor with a tonneau cover, which is something of a rarity in this segment, a 12-volt port, and if I pull this up, a spare tire with all the tool you need to replace it. Now, we don't have an intern on hand today to show you guys how much space there is in here, but if I drag myself in, I won't be able to lie down, but I will be able to use it as a picnic table. Let's check out the back seats.
As one climbs inside, the first thing they notices are the seats, or rather what they're made out of. Unlike all the other cars in the segment which uses pleather or other environmentally friendly leather, X70 uses genuine Napa leather, which is almost unheard of in this price segment. As an added touch, it also comes with a built-in armrest with cup holders. The intrigue continues in the center as you get a dedicated air purifier, 2 AC vents with a knob to control the fan speed, 2 USB port, and the small hole to store your phone. Other conveniences include a couple of map lights and the massive panoramic sunroof, a bit of a netting to hold stuff, and a courtesy switch on the passenger side which you can use to push the front seat all the way forward for a bit of extra legroom. Much like the Deepal, the X70 has its own door handle quirk, as well as a built-in warning light if the door is left open in the dark. And finally, a Kenwood 9-speaker sound system with an amplifier.
Now, underneath this Proton badge, this is a Geely Boyu, which is a crossover that was designed over a decade ago. That becomes painfully obvious as you look at the tech in this car. There is a digital gauge cluster, which is nice to use, big font and everything, and there is an 80-inch infotainment screen, which has, or rather lacked, some features. There are no option for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There is an app for you to mirror your phone camera, but just like the X55, it's not ideal. Besides that, the screen is responsive, the buttons are plenty, but this car suffers from the era where Chinese companies were cramming in all the tech, but didn't really know how to put them together. Case in point, this car has ventilated seats, but also this car has a nicely laid out climate control panel, but it doesn't have buttons for it. To access the ventilated seat, you need to go to the climate control settings and press these barely visible buttons to turn them on. Needless to say, China was still figuring out how to make things work back then. However, perhaps to balance that out, this car has one of the earliest functional voice command systems, one that is specifically tuned to accent like ours. Hi Proton, roll down all the windows. It's still a bit of hit or miss sometimes. Roll down all windows. Case in point. Now that's all of that done, time to drive the car. Driving the Proton X70 is rather straightforward. You, just like any other German car with a 7-speed DCT, you pull it back, put it into drive and press the accelerator and you're rolling. The driving feedback of the X70 is surprising, especially considering it's a 5-row crossover. The 3-cylinder turbo, when you heard of it, think it's a dinky motor, but put it on sport mode and press the accelerator and it bolts as soon as it hits 3000 RPM. And not only that, the steering wheel gets tighter, the suspension is already tight, but it also gets firmer. And overall, the driving experience is far more exciting than what you would expect in a car like this. Masterful roadwork courtesy of local construction effort, and despite being a bit bouncy, the suspension actually does a decent job of smoothing out all the bumps. Now, despite being a rather quick car for its size, it's by no way unsafe as far as encapsulation goes. It does have an army of airbags, it does have all the automatic nannies, forward collision warning, lane keep assist, 360 camera, 3D camera, what have you. Everything is there and they work surprisingly well considering how old this design is. Now, that all brings back to the main point of this car, the price. This car, as per legalese, is made in Bangladesh. That means it gets a massive cut in price. What's the price? 38.5. Now, you'll be hard-pressed to find a car with genuine Napa leather, functional voice control, and all other bells and whistles that this car has in another car, even a Chinese one, for 50 lakh. Hell, you probably won't. You'll find one in 50 lakh. Actually, the Deepal S05 is there, but drop it down to 40, no chance. So if you want all the bells and whistles, a car that looks like a baby Range Rover, which is a nice thing for the record, and something that's reliable, because I say that because this car has been around for half a decade and haven't heard any horror story about the 3-cylinder. You would think there is, but there isn't. So you can give this one a thought. That's all for today. Thank you.